Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and John Deaton took to Twitter today, and he's got some pretty interesting, I would say some of them are prediction tweets about this case and where he thinks things are going. He was very talkative on Twitter today, so stay tuned. I'm going to cover that here towards the end. But first I want you to see this clip from CNBC. This is, I'm drawing a blank on the guy's name. What's the guy's name? I don't remember. Anyway, he's one of the major talking heads. He's been, I think he was at one of the Ripple events one time. But anyway, watch this.
So what would force them to change their target?
Mohammed Azarian or something like that. I think that's his name.
So what would force them to change their target, and what would that target be?
So what will force them to change that target is the recognition that by being so late, they can't get to that target and that credibility is threatened. They will also worry that by hitting the brakes too hard, they may push this economy not just into a short-term recession, but into a longer-term recession. And they will be very tempted, and lots of people will push them to raise that target from 2 to 3 and as a way out. Now, that's not going to be an easy way out, and it's going to be incredibly controversial, but that's what you get when you waited too long to recognize what inflation is and to take action. We should have started QT last year. We didn't, and we're now bearing the consequences of the Fed being so late.
Okay, Mohammed, if you're right and they do that, what happens to gold and what happens to crypto on that day?
They both go higher in a world like that.
Mohammed Al-Arian, it is always great to see.
There is nothing that I would rather own right now than XRP, XLM, and gold, folks. And I'm buying my gold right now through Glint. And Glint is one of my sponsors, but these guys, they became a sponsor because of how cool their product is. I love what they're doing because they give you get a debit card that's a MasterCard, so that you can literally, when you buy your gold, but you can also, by the way, buy physical gold if you would prefer to buy physical gold. But you can buy it and put it in this Glint account, and then you can set your account to either, when you use that debit card, to either spend your US dollars that are in the account or your gold. And you can literally, it shows you how many grams of gold that you spent, whether you're buying a meal or buying an airline ticket, whatever it is. It's the coolest thing I've seen in a long time, which is why they're a sponsor. I'll put a link to this in the top of the description. I'm more excited about this than just about anything right now. So, moving along. Now, check this tweet caught my attention. Mark Phillips, he's one of the OGs in the XRP space. 2022 predictions: Bitcoin, USDT, Evergrande fall together. 2. Ethereum, Consensus, and SEC fall together. 3. XRP, Ripple, and XRPL emerge as the core of the new global financial system that includes digital assets, XLM, Quant, etc., and companies. I would throw in there XDC, Algorand, Cardano, a few others. I like that tweet. Now, Snoop Dogg just launched an NFTs on Cardano. This caught my attention. The reason it caught my attention is because we know I'm a child of the Snoop Dogg era. He came along. He came along and became famous when I was in college, and I love Snoop Dogg. But more important, I think Snoop Dogg is a marketing genius. There are not many people, not in the music business, who transcend decades and stay relevant. He's one of the few because he's a marketing genius and he learned from the best, Dr. Dre. So when Snoop thinks it's smart to build his NFT collection on Cardano, and then last week Michael Jordan is building it on XRP, the XRP ledger, it might be time to pay attention, folks. What do these guys know? You seeing what I'm seeing? All right. Now, here's a true story. Blockworks said in 2010, a student spent 10,000 Bitcoin on 2 large pizzas. Now, they would now be worth $397 million. And I said true story with a picture of Anthony Pompliano and his pizza boxes. That joke never gets old. Just in, MetaMask has asked Apple users to disable automatic iCloud backups for their wallets after a user lost $650,000 USD worth of NFTs in a phishing attack. MetaMask, didn't Joseph Lubin run that? I can't remember. All right, then XRP Crypto Quebec went in and found some additional photos that are interesting from this. This is the missing video of Bill Hinman. He did it not long after the Hinman Ethereum Free Pass speech, 2018 Tech GC Summit. Now, people have reached out to these guys, and the Tech GC Summit says, "Oh, well, this is proprietary. This is a private club of attorneys, and so only they can view this." Well, I don't. So there's an attorney listening to my voice right now who has access to this video. We'd love to see it. 2018 Tech GC Summit. First pick, Hinman and Bob Brownstone. He's of Fenwick and West at the same table. Many other photos of that event. Still searching for some audio. Requested from Tech GC a transcript of Hinman's fireside chat if there is one. You know there is one. Here's this is Bill Hinman right here. This is this Bob Brownstone from Fenwick and West. Let's see what else we have here. That's Hinman on stage. That's somebody introducing, I guess. Not sure who that is. As you go down, he's got other pictures. I don't know if there's any as good as that's the Brownstone guy, I think. That's him again. And I don't know about the significance of the Brownstone guy, other than that he was a speaker there and all of that. But that is interesting. Who knows where that'll lead? It says 2018 Tech GC Summit, Fenwick and West, Bob Brownstone at the same table as Bill Hinman. Why, you say? Well, Fenwick is involved in blockchain and technology and Bitcoin startups. I don't know if there's any there. I'm sure there's people listening to me who will go look. Where's TAIG when we need him? No, I'm not trying. That's not a shot at TAIG. I understand he needed to take a break at a minimum, and I get it. Trust me, I get it. Okay. Stefan Huber, who is in the game, and this guy has been doing a real good job, so is Ripple. Consensus and Shapeshift happen to have the same address after each move. Shapeshift is a tool to disguise holdings and transactions. Now, I don't know where he found this, but he found it. Okay? So, and we know how Joseph Lubin likes to help disguised whales. Listen to this. It's not, the volume's bad, so read this right here as it goes.
So there's
no restrictions. Well,
you can purchase
Ether in New York.
On certain exchanges,
you would have to submit documentation. There's one exchange called Shapeshift that believes you shouldn't have to submit documentation. They're based in Switzerland, and you can buy amounts of Ether for different tokens like Bitcoin. In terms of getting started writing and testing smart contracts, you can just download the client and build your own private network so that all right. So anyway, he's explaining that Shapeshift, and as he always does, he acts like he's a third party. He doesn't know these guys or anything. He's just heard about them, is the way he presents it. All right, moving along. Now, this was Warren Davidson. He tweeted this weekend, or maybe it was it yesterday? Anyway, last couple of days. He was on this FinTech TV, and I decided I would go and watch it. And so I found something interesting. But first I told him, I said, he's talking about how America needs clarity for FinTech. I said, if we had clarity on who the disguised whales were in the Ethereum ICO, we would have more clarity as to why the SEC has chosen this method, which is the, the selective regulation by enforcement, the way they did Ripple. pull out the root and the poison doesn't grow back near as fast. So I went and watched Warren Davidson, and I said, after watching this, I said, you're 100% right in your recent interview. Most of the industry took Bill Hinman's speech as guidance from the SEC, which you, Warren Davidson, also took as guidance. But it was much worse. Jay Clayton lied to your face right there in Congress. And I'll show you the clip right now. He lied to Warren Davidson's face. Warren Davidson said, basically acknowledged the Hinman speech, that it had said that Ethereum is a commodity. Jay Clayton sat right there and did not interrupt him and say, no, that was Bill Hinman's personal opinion. He left a sitting congressman with that impression, and he did it intentionally, because he could have easily corrected Warren Davidson. Listen to this.
Some of it is by enforcement action. I mean, one of the biggest ones in the space has been the SEC's enforcement action against XRP and Ripple, and that has a profound impact in the U.S. And a lot of people speculate as to what was really going on there. I think most of the industry took Bill Hinman's speech as guidance from the SEC. Yeah, fair point. The Howey test has been there, and I appreciate, frankly, Director Hinman last week clarifying that Ether is not viewed as a security. There had been some concern after some of your remarks that everything looks like it fits with the Howey test, and,
When you're raising capital for a project?
Right.
Right. What he did not say, what Jay Clayton did not say is, whoa, let me correct you there. Miss Congressman. What Bill Hinman said was not the official position of the SEC. That was his personal opinion that he gave in front of the SEC logo at the Yahoo conference. That was his personal opinion. So let me correct you there, because I don't want to lead a sitting congressman to believe something that's not true. I don't want you to believe that we've declared Ethereum a commodity, because we have not. That's what the SEC is saying in the courtroom now. Unless they're liars, right? Unless they are unless we have bold-faced liars running a major United States agency of the U.S. government, he should have corrected them, right? Exactly right. Boom. Biden, this was from the other day. Biden, this goes in the All the World's a Stage file. Remember this. Biden to tap former Ripple advisor as vice chair to the Fed. Law professor Michael Barr is being nominated to become the next vice chair for supervision of the Federal Reserve. And then this was put out by this Rothschild von Bilderberg. In 2020, Gary Gensler told us that in 2022, POTUS would choose a new Fed person in order to migrate to a new, faster and modern payment system. A few days ago, Ripple board member Michael Barr was nominated for Fed vice chair. Listen to this clip. This is from the Digital Currency Wars, that video that I've shown you before on this channel. And the question I've always asked on this channel is, if the United States was putting out a video to the public in 2019 called Digital Currency Wars, where they're simulating everything that you're seeing go on right now, what were they doing if they were putting this out to the public, what were they doing in secret 5-10 years before they put out this video? That's the question. Listen to this clip. And this goes firmly in the All the World's a Stage file.
Leapfrogged by others, by digital currency, by digital Chinese currency. Why? Because, frankly, our central bank has been slow. And there's an appointment coming in January of 22. The president's got to decide whether to change over who's leading the Federal Reserve. The Federal Reserve runs our payment system. Right. And I think we need to move that Federal Reserve into the modern era. We have been leapfrogged.
Okay, so that's Gary Gensler in the All the World's a Stage file. Now, this guy, Bill, I don't know his last name, but he says, he did a whole thread on how the SEC does not include common enterprise in their discussion of the Howey test. What is the common enterprise between Ripple and XRP holders in relation to the XRP token, given the SEC alleges a continuous offering by Ripple for 8 years? How can this be maintained in the face of an XRP ledger that has been fully functional since 2012, with its own native DEX, okay? Now, I'm not going to read the whole thread, but I do want to read the last two things from it because this is where he sums it up. Perhaps the common enterprise for the SEC is Ripple's entire business for 8 years. But how is that reconcilable with the fact that XRP Ledger could continue to function and XRP be sold without Ripple? How can XRP by its nature be a security per se? I'm not saying the SEC doesn't have a cogent position on the common enterprise prong of the Howey test. I just can't see it expressed clearly in its amended complaint. Then John Deaton retweets him and he says, Bill, have you noticed Gary Gensler doesn't ever articulate the common enterprise factor? The common enterprise factor? Read footnote 10 where the SEC declares it doesn't view a common enterprise as a distinct element of the term investment contract. And then he goes on, he says, they ignore the law, even the Supreme Court. Then John Deaton's commenting on something else. Listen, watch this. I can assure you the SEC would rather lose the case on a strict Howey analysis than on fair notice. If she rules Ripple lacked fair notice, most altcoins traded for the last 7 years have a blueprint for victory. That, my friends, is a thumbnail. Blueprint for victory. If the court finds XRP not a security, it applies only to XRP. Then he goes on in another little thread here. He says, great question. This guy says, do you still see this wrapping up in 90 days, John? Great question. As I said, I believe the case would settle within 90 days from Judge Torres affirming Judge Natburn's decision. I still stand by that. However, I didn't really consider Ripple insisting on summary judgment without emails and documents. In hindsight, it makes sense. The emails and documents are most relevant to fair notice. Ripple can win on a strict Howey analysis, and if they do, the court never has to decide whether Ripple received fair notice. I can now see there being no settlement, and the parties let the judges decide via Howey. In other words, view the fair notice defense as insurance. It's an insurance policy that kicks in if Ripple loses on Howey. Thus, I'm leaning on no settlement and a decision by the judge. The timing of a decision depends on how long it takes Judge Torres to decide. And then finally here, he says, this guy's asking for worst case scenario, 3 months, 6 months. Let me first say handicapping time in the judicial system is a fool's errand. With that said, absent settlement, I believe best case scenario for a ruling is late August. Worst case, just prior to Christmas, because I believe the judge would be sensitive to the 2-year anniversary. Interesting stuff. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that this is John Deaton's best case and worst case scenario.